Hi, it's a real pleasure to be here at the Women in Construction conference. My name is Yewande. I'm an engineer, an innovator. I'm passionate about engineering in our world, passionate about diversity in engineering. And it is such a pleasure to be part of the Women in Construction conference. Gosh, what a year we've all had. What a year it has been. And I've been reflecting a lot as an engineer and as an innovator. And when I think back on what this talk would have been pre-COVID, it would definitely have been a very, very different talk, very, very different perspective on things as well. And so I'm just hoping to share with you my process of thinking and rethinking to a certain extent, especially in these current times. I've always really liked the idea of disruption through innovating. I've always liked the idea of working towards the improvement of something, through innovation. And when I think back on all that has happened this year, how our world has responded to these unprecedented times, I have probably a simpler view on what innovation needs to be. I have a potentially more purposeful view on what innovation needs to be, powered by all our different industries, powered by a construction industry, powered by the design world, powered by the retail goods industry. And I hope to just share some of those thoughts with you as through the course of the next 15, 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen. If you just bear with me. There we go. Great, fantastic. Right, so I've titled this Innovating for Our World. How can we be most effective? There we go. And in thinking about, these few minutes as part of the conference, I went back to the start of my thought process to really ask myself what it means to innovate for our world. I definitely have been on a journey where I've gone from innovating for my immediate environment and really thinking about that bigger purpose, that thing that connects me, you, people all over the world, and really trying to understand how the work that I do in whatever location I am in can have an impact on the world. And I think that is pretty much, as a result of what 2020 has been, for all of us. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And boy, have we had lemons thrown at us this year. Innovating is about making the lemonade from the lemons thrown at you. And that is the way I've definitely seen it this year. We went from vibrant cities, exciting, buzzing cities, from people flying from one location to another, from people being able to travel into cities and out. I was literally doing potentially on average 2 cities in a day at one point. From people being able to have meals without thinking about, any repercussions, from people being able to stay out late. We went from that to this. Our cities closed, our interactions very limited, our travel cut down to zero. And actually, it has been an unimaginable year for a lot of our world's inhabitants. I mean, if anybody told me last year that this was a possibility, I would not have been able to imagine it. I would literally not have been able to mentally have a picture or create a picture of what COVID times have brought to our world. Now, going back to innovation and its history, I did a little bit of digging, probably as part of my soul searching. Um, and the word innovation comes from the Latin word innovare, and it has its origin in the word and in the concept of new. Yeah, I've known this, innovation, new, we're going to disrupt, we're going to come up with something different, we're going to create a new way of thinking. A lot of times it's been complex because you're trying to uproot what you've done. Sometimes you're trying to bring incremental change, but still understanding that sometimes, the fundamentals of the old methods you're trying to change have to go. Then I stumbled on the idea of innovation for social change. And, I usually don't like to have a picture of somebody who is probably not contributing exactly to our times, but actually I found this really, really, really powerful. So Gabriel Tarde presented a thought, that turned innovation on its head in the 19th century. He believed that social change created and required the stimulus of innovative thought. Innovation would blaze a trail for the rest of society to follow. Innovation signified an act of disruption, creating new opportunities for emerging segments of population while lessening the effect on established elites. That was a quote from Julian Meyrick. And actually, when I thought about innovation in 2020, and so when I thought about the idea of social change, and its place in the discussions around innovation, it all of a sudden made more sense to me in terms of the interventions that we've had to come up with this year, especially. Now, the idea of innovation embedded in social good and progress, I started to think, what are the channels through which this social good can happen? And then the answer to me was definitely through the work that each of us does in our different sectors, in our different areas of interest. Environment, community, empowerment, education, and well being. So, with environment being very, very much related to construction, community, everything from, goods, everyday goods that people use, to ensuring that there's the right level of communication, to technology bringing people together, right through to empowerment, ensuring there's fairness in all that we do, ensuring that people have the right level of education, ensuring that people have access to great health, they have access to a great mental well-being. All of these different elements playing a huge, massive part in the idea of innovating for our world. That for me was a light bulb moment. That for me was going right back to basics and finding the answer to the question, why do I do what I do? Why should I do what I do? Now, the year 2020 has been a real test of our ability to innovate. And actually, when you think about the incredible innovative ideas that have been very quickly deployed in the fight to protect people against COVID, it has been exceptional. We've come together, irrespective of where we are geographically, irrespective of our backgrounds, our interests, our religions. We've come together for one single incredibly powerful cause. And for once, the entire world has had a common focus: well-being and survival. For once, we've had a common, profound sense of urgency. And actually, what has been the great testimony from this year is there has been a huge harvesting of technological advancement and innovative methods. All of a sudden, we've decided to work together, irrespective of our backgrounds, irrespective of our political stance. We've worked together urgently to harvest all the great work that has been happening. In India, a robotics company has been dispensing cleaning materials and providing information about COVID in hospitals. Noka Robotics has been working on low-cost ventilators. Apps have been developed very, very quickly. So these technologies were being developed for potentially very, very different applications. And that is why, I referred to, the harvesting of technologies, because this as an example, of where people have gone, actually, we have technology that can be deployed for this purpose. All of a sudden, technology, and its advancements have become relevant in multi forms. And that is absolutely amazing. Now, I think this is actually quite incredible. So in the UK, right, Innovate UK, which is the UK innovation body, launched a grant of 40 million, double the amount planned, as part of a 1.25 billion corona package. Now, 8,600 companies applied. Oh, this I just find absolutely incredible. Now, this is more than a combined figure from the 12 months prior. The headline here is, when there was a combined focus, an urgent problem, 8,600 companies realized that they were innovators, that they could come up with ideas very, very quickly for social good, that they could deploy their talent to coming up with solutions very, 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 very quickly for the betterment and the well-being of our world's inhabitants. So there was that innate ability to come up with solutions, which was triggered by the pandemic and the fight against COVID. And so we saw, the development of cutting edge entertainment platforms, allowing performers like bands, theatre productions, comedians to perform on digital stage, streamed directly to global audiences via television or mobile devices. We saw the next generation of personal protective equipment with viral stopping capabilities based on nanofibers for face masks to increase their effectiveness and allow them to be potentially reduced. Social media apps were built to strengthen local communities, allow volunteers to target support to the most vulnerable members in the local neighborhood. Innovative virtual reality solutions enabled surgeons to remotely train and virtually perform surgery to treat patients. A new virtual farmers market is being worked on to replace traditional markets closed down as a result of COVID. Absolutely amazing. And a real testament to, the diversification of existing base technology for social improvement and wellness. Forgive the quality of this slide, but the last year as well has really seen this model come to light and take center stage as well. We've seen these tangible, significant traction in innovation from universities working with industry and industry working with government. Hand in hand. Government says, yes, here is the money. Industry says, we're up to the task. Universities deploy all the great thinking, and it happened. I heard of incredible stories of universities turning their laboratories into 3D printing factory spaces. Industries really deployed, staff and, processes to ensuring that they were building beds, they were building all the right equipment, and obviously with government working hand in hand to ensure that there was some funding and some relief. Absolutely incredible. And so what that says to me as we start to think of how we rethink the construction industry and how we start to make the construction industry an innovative industry, is that we can really come about great solutions by simplifying those solutions to serve true purpose, stripping everything right back. A lot of people say the construction industry is not innovative. It's too big to innovate. There are too many methods and people who don't understand how you can strip things right back to ensure it's light enough to become innovative. And actually, what, in my view, the last, 8, 9 months have definitely shown us is that it is possible. And the way it becomes possible is by the construction industry having that singular purpose to simplify its methods, to say, right, we want to start to deliver innovation on the projects that we work on. What are the things we absolutely don't need? And really starting from a place where we are starting to really strip back and say, right, these are the methods we don't need. They're too heavy. They're they're not purposeful to what we need to achieve. These are the underlying principles that we work to, that actually, if we look at, we can break up into bits that then help us understand what is actually super essential. And so, as we come up with solutions, it's just simplifying all those processes. I mean, modern methods of construction is a thing. And over the years, we as an industry have been working very, very hard to start to think about how we deploy our buildings to site, how we ensure that we are not, populating our sites with unnecessary aspects to it. And we've done that actually in these COVID times, in the push to ensure that there are less people working on site. We've really looked at those modern methods of construction. We've explored how we can bring in parts of the building. So whether it's our walls, facades, parts of our buildings like complete bathrooms, utility cupboards, we've really, really mobilized that way of thinking. And technology has then also started to take center position. The construction industry is able to use technology for its benefit. All our processes of understanding where our component parts are coming from, how we work with our supply chain, how we mobilize people on site, how we mobilize the process of actually building one floor on top of each other until we top out. All of that can be made so much easier by the technologies that are actually available today. There are technologies that help you understand the progress of your construction process, where you are literally able to map out how much progress you have made and account for the progress that you have made. We don't have to be dependent on some of those methods that are so iterative, that are so repetitive, that, have to take us back to site too many times, that, require us to have conversations with too many people, that are dependent, on that single point of failure. And actually, when we think of how much work we've done over the last, year in ensuring that, we've got less people physically on site at one point in time, the task of bringing in technology to really mobilize the work that we do is not as huge, is not as insurmountable as we think it is. Now, prioritizing quality and efficiency is a big, massive thing. And probably, the biggest thing for us in terms of really looking at our existing business models and how we can be more efficient as an industry. Really understanding where we need to be more efficient and how much, really quantifying how much we lose as an industry because of our inefficiencies, from reworking, from redesigning, from having to, store stuff, in places where we really shouldn't, be, because it's costing us so much, because we haven't planned for the flow of goods to, to pick up real time information. There really lies an opportunity for us to start to take all these processes to a platform where we can be more efficient, where we can prioritize quality as well, and ensure, almost like, the delivery world, the likes of, of the industries that help get products to us in no time, helping us to understand how we can put in methods to ensure that we, as our own clients, within the construction process, are always receiving and always attaining quality at every single point of the construction process. Now, this conversation would be incomplete without discussing diversity and inclusion as part of innovating. COVID has shown us that we can innovate, and we can innovate very quickly. And we can innovate by stripping things right back. And we can innovate by deploying and harvesting existing technologies. And in my mind, those are all the elements for innovating for our world through construction. Now, diversity and inclusion sits right at the heart of it, because diversity and inclusion brings the diversity of thought that ensures that we are able to cover all the different aspects that we need to cover. As we offer service to a diverse world, as we cater for diverse communities, as we think of products, services that are applicable across the board, the same way COVID had to, think of different people, people from different backgrounds. The same way we must include diversity and inclusion right at the heart of the solutions that we come up with in terms of innovating for our industry. Now, I'm extremely passionate about just having that diversity of thoughts and that diversity of talent, because I have seen, unfortunately, too many examples where, a lack of diversity has just translated into a lack of perspective, which has then translated into very, very, very expensive mistakes. And having all the right people around the table, the people who think in black and white, the people who think in color, the people who even, don't engineer buildings as their full-time jobs day in, day out. Having that full circle, that complete conversation really needs to come to the heart of how we innovate. So working with technologists, working with artists, working with psychologists, working with engineers, working with scientists. And that is that's what I would put to construction industries. And for us, the women, in this conference, and the men in this conference, when we go back to our day jobs And, after we've really absorbed all the inspiration from the incredible conversations that are happening as part of this conference, we should be asking ourselves, what is that simple innovation, that simple innovative thought within our business models that we need to include? Who are the people we really need to have at the table? Where is the technology where is the technology that we need to deploy into our way of thinking to ensure that we have the efficiencies that we absolutely need to be able to drive the change that we need? And naturally, the fourth one being, where are we positioning ourselves in ensuring that we're innovating for our world, in relating and connecting with our communities, in bringing about progress to our world? How are we positioning ourselves as a company or an organization or a business in the mission to innovate for social good? Well, those have been my thoughts. That has been my thought process over the last few months, especially. And I really hope that, you know, um, our world, our industries become confident and empowered to see innovation as an enabler for good, as against this huge thing that we must do, that's expensive, that's hard to deploy. I really hope people see the incredible power it has to ensure that we are purposeful in all that we do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me.